The night exploded first with a scream, then with fire. Queen Moremi spun around just in time to see a wall of flames swallowing the thatched roofs of a nearby compound. Warriors ran past her, spears trembling in their hands, shadows dancing wildly across their faces as the mysterious raiders surged into the kingdom of Ife, silent, swift, and terrifying. Their bodies were covered in thick raffia and soot, making them look like spirits risen from the underworld. No matter how many battles the men of Ife fought, no matter how bravely they charged, the raiders always moved like smoke, untouchable, unstoppable. "Hold the gates," a commander shouted, but his voice cracked with fear. "They are coming again, keep them back." Moremi grabbed his arm. "Where is the king? What of the Eastern Wall?" "The wall is gone," he cried. "My queen, they cut through it like spirits. We cannot hold them." Her chest tightened. Fear crawled its cold fingers up her spine, but she forced it down. She had never allowed fear to rule her, not as a queen, not as a mother, not as a daughter of Ife. She stepped forward anyway, pushing past warriors and terrified citizens. The raiders burst through a cloud of smoke, tall, silent, almost glowing from the fire behind them. Their movements were too smooth, too synchronized. Even Moremi felt a shiver run through her. One warrior from Ife tried to block them, but the tallest of the raiders knocked him aside effortlessly, without a single word. Moremi reached for a spear from a fallen soldier and stood her ground. "Face me," she commanded. The nearest raider turned toward her. For a heartbeat, the world quieted. Even the fire seemed to come as they stared at one another. But before she could strike, one of her guards grabbed her shoulders and pulled her back. "My queen, no. If you fall, we are lost." She struggled. "Let me go. I will not watch my kingdom burn." "You cannot fight spirits," her guard whispered, his voice shaking. "We have tried. We fail every time." The guard dragged her backward, and she realized he wasn't protecting her, he was pleading for her to stay alive. Behind them, more raiders poured through the gate, moving like an unstoppable, otherworldly force. People screamed. Children hid in corners. Mothers lifted their babies and ran. In that chaos, the queen's young son, Oluorogbo, came running toward her, tears streaking his face. "Mother! Mother, where are you?" Moremi grabbed him and held him tightly. "I am here, my child." He trembled in her arms. "They look like monsters. Are they spirits? Will they take me?" "No," she whispered firmly, pressing her forehead to his. "I will never allow that." But even as she said the words, she felt a sinking truth inside her: the kingdom was losing. If they continued like this, there would be nothing left to protect. The next morning, smoke still hung over Ife like a dark ghost. Bodies lay scattered across the road. People walked slowly, speaking in hushed voices, afraid to breathe too loudly, as though the raiders might hear them and return. Moremi entered the palace council chamber, her steps firm despite the exhaustion weighing on her limbs. The chiefs argued among themselves, "They strike like gods. No spear can pierce them. Perhaps we offended the spirits." "Enough." Moremi snapped, her voice cutting through the air. "We are not children. These beings bleed. They burn. They take our crops and our people. They are not spirits." Chief Obalai frowned. "Then what are they, my queen? Have you seen warriors that can vanish into smoke? Move without breath. Strike down 10 men with one blow." Moremi clenched her fist. "Fear makes men blind. And we are blind." The king, Oramian, leaned forward, his voice soft but weighted. "Then speak, Moremi. What do you see that we do not?" She took a deep breath, fighting the tightness in her chest. "I see that we cannot keep fighting an enemy we do not understand. I see that our warriors die because they believe the enemy is invincible. I see that, if nothing changes, we will lose everything. Silence followed. Then Moremi said the words that changed her destiny. I will discover who they truly are. The council erupted instantly. You will what? You want to walk into the hands of spirits. You cannot risk your life. You are the queen, not a warrior. Moremi slammed her hand on the table. I am the queen, and that is exactly why I must go. My people suffer. My child hides in fear each night. How can I sit safely in the palace while others die? Oramian stood and approached her. Moremi, this path is dangerous. You may never return. She turned to him, her eyes fierce. Then let my courage return even if my body does not. The king closed his eyes, pain tightening his jaw. If you insist, I cannot stop you. But you must not go unprotected. I will need no army, she said softly. Only the river. Before sunrise the next day, Moremi walked alone to the banks of the Esinmirin river. Mist curled around her ankles as she knelt by the water. She placed her hands inside the cold stream and whispered, Esinmirin, mother of mysteries, hear me. My people are dying. My home is burning. Guide me, and I will give you anything. The river rippled though there was no wind. A soft, feminine voice rose from beneath the surface, neither gentle nor harsh, but ancient. Moremi Ajasoro, you seek truth. But truth demands a price. I am ready to pay it. Think before you speak, the river warned. The sacrifice you will owe will be greater than victory, greater than your crown. Moremi swallowed. If it saves my people, I accept. Then go, the river spirit answered. And when the time comes, you will give what I demand. The water stilled. Moremi's heart hammered, but she rose with renewed resolve. She walked back toward Ife, ready to begin a journey that would change everything. 2 nights later, when the raiders returned, Moremi stood near the northern gate, hidden among the shadows. She watched them strike again, swift, silent, terrifying. This time she did not run. She stepped forward, allowing the flames to light her silhouette point. One of the raiders saw her. Their dark eyes locked, and Moremi did the unthinkable. She dropped her spear. I surrender, she whispered. The raider rushed forward, grabbed her roughly, and dragged her toward the forest where the others were gathering captives. Warriors shouted her name, but Moremi raised a hand, signaling them to stay back. The raiders tied her wrists with thick ropes and forced her to march through the night. Beneath her fear, a deeper determination burned. She would learn their secrets. No matter the risk. Hours later, they reached a settlement deep in the forest, where torches flickered against structures made of wood and dried grass. She was pushed before a tall figure who seemed to be their leader. His entire body was covered in raffia strips that rustled with every movement. He studied her silently, tilting his head. You are not afraid, he finally said, his voice surprisingly human. Moremi met his gaze without blinking. Spirits do not bleed, she answered. A murmur rippled through the raiders. The leader stared at her, then slowly removed part of his raffia mask. Underneath was a man. Not a spirit. Not a god. Just a man. Moremi's heart pounded with revelation, but she kept her expression unreadable. Over the next days, she was kept as a slave, ordered to fetch water, gather firewood, and clean. She said nothing, watched everything. She studied the raiders' routines, their weapons, their armor, their weaknesses. She noticed how the raffia disguises caught on flames easily. She saw how they rubbed soot on their skin to appear like shadows. One evening, while handing a basket of water to one of the raiders, he grunted, "Your people fear us. That is why they lose." She looked at him. "You hide behind fear because you know it's all you have." He scoffed. "We have numbers. You have raffia," she said quietly. "And fire is stronger than raffia." The raider froze, his face tightening. For a moment, she thought he might strike her, but instead he turned away. Moremi now knew everything she needed. She waited until night fell, until the guards drank too much palm wine around the fire. She slipped away from her post, sliding between shadows, her heart hammering with each step. One mistake would mean death. When she finally reached the edge of the camp, she paused and whispered, "Esinmirin, guide my feet." Then she ran. Branches tore at her skin. Thorns cut her ankles. Her breath felt like fire in her chest. She ran through darkness, through unknown territory, through exhaustion, and finally saw the lights of Ife rising before dawn. A guard spotted her. "My queen. By the gods, she's alive." The kingdom erupted into shouts as she was brought before the king and council. Oramian rushed to her. "Moremi, Moremi, speak to me. What did you see?" She lifted her head, eyes blazing. "They are not spirits. They are men who fear fire." "Fire," the king repeated. "Prepare the torches," she said, her voice trembling from exhaustion and relief. "Prepare every torch in Ife. At the next raid, we burn away the illusion." When the raiders returned, they came with their usual confidence, gliding across the fields like spirits born of smoke. But the people of Ife did not cower this time. They waited in silence, torches hidden behind shields, behind walls, behind trembling hands that had found new courage. Moremi stood at the front line, her hair tied back, her posture strong, her heart beating so loudly she could feel it in her throat. Oluorogbo clung to her gown earlier that evening, tears filling his eyes. "Mother, please don't go. Please don't stand there. What if they take you again?" She knelt and kissed his forehead. "My son, I promise to keep you safe. And a promise is only true if a mother keeps it with her whole life." He swallowed hard. "But I'm afraid." She cupped his cheeks. "So am I. But bravery is not the absence of fear. It is walking forward even with fear in your chest. I will come back to you." He hugged her tightly, and she held him until the horn sounded to call the warriors into formation. Now, standing face to face with the approaching raiders, Moremi raised her arm. "Hold," she shouted. "Not yet." The ground trembled with the weight of the enemy's advance. The raffia rustled like dry leaves. Their blackened bodies shimmered under the moonlight as they moved closer. Her warriors shifted nervously. "My queen, they are almost here." "Hold," Moremi repeated. The raiders lifted their spears and began to run. "Now," she roared. A wave of fire burst from the warriors of Ife. Torches flew through the air like blazing comets. Flames struck the raiders' raffia coverings, igniting instantly. Screams cut through the night. The raiders stopped moving like spirits and began moving like men, flailing, panicking, their illusions burning away. The warriors of Ife roared with newfound strength. They charged forward, driving the raiders back with fire and steel. The enemy stumbled over themselves, dropping weapons, tearing off burning raffia, running for the forest in blind fear. One of the raider leaders locked eyes with Moremi as his disguise burned away. His expression held shock, then anger, then something like respect. "It was you," he shouted across the chaos. "You are the fire behind these flames." She lifted her torch higher. "And it will cleanse my people of your terror." He fled into the darkness, disappearing into the forest. Within minutes, the battlefield grew quiet. The warriors of Ife began to shout, raising their torches in victory. Moremi stood among them, breathing hard, her limbs shaking from adrenaline. They had done it. They had broken the illusion. They had won. The people carried her on their shoulders, chanting her name. Children ran behind her. Women wept and touched her hands, bowing in gratitude. "You saved us. You broke their power. You are the mother of our survivor." Even the king himself embraced her. "Moremi, You have given Ife a new dawn. But as the cheers filled the night, Moremi felt a cold whisper inside her heart. The river spirit's voice. A great sacrifice. She pushed the thought away. She wanted tonight to be victory, not fear. The next morning, after celebrations quieted, Moremi slipped away to the Esinmirin river. She knelt at the water's edge, her hands trembling. I kept my promise, she said softly. I did what you asked. My people are free. The river rippled. You came, the spirit said. And now you must fulfill your oath. Moremi felt her throat close. Tell me what you demand. The water glowed faintly. Your sacrifice must match the weight of the kingdom you saved. She clenched her fist. Then ask for gold. Ask for cattle, land, anything. I do not want gold. Then what do you want? Silence. Then the river whispered the words that shattered Moremi's soul. Your son. Oluorogbo. Moremi's breath stopped. No, she shook her head violently. No. I gave you my vow to save my people, yes, but not my child. Ask for anything else. Anything. The boy is the price. Please, she cried, tears spilling. Please take me instead. You swore to give anything. And he is the dearest thing you have. Moremi fell forward, her forehead pressing into the wet earth. A raw, wounded sound tore from her chest. Why? She choked out. Why must the curse be so cruel? To shift the fate of a kingdom requires the heart of a mother, the spirit answered. That is the balance of destiny. Moremi wept until her body shook. She stayed by the river for hours, pleading, begging, screaming into the wind, but the spirit remained unmoved. When she returned to Ife, her eyes were swollen, her steps unsteady. The chiefs rushed to her. My queen, what troubles you? Is there danger again? Did the spirit speak? She could not answer. Her voice was trapped behind pain. But Oramian approached her, placed a hand on her cheek, and whispered, what did the river demand? Her silence answered him. The king staggered backward. No, not the boy. The news spread quickly. Soon the entire kingdom gathered before the palace, shouting, weeping, protesting. No. Not the boy. He is innocent. We will give cattle. We will give slaves, goats, anything. Moremi stepped forward, shaking her head. Her voice cracked as she forced the words out. The spirit would take nothing else. Oluorogbo ran toward her, grabbing her gown. Mother. Mother, what's wrong? Why are people crying? She fell to her knees and wrapped her arms around him. My child, my beautiful child. He touched her face, confused. Why are you trembling? She kissed his forehead again and again. Forgive me. What did I do? He whispered. You did nothing. Oramian knelt beside them, tears streaking down his face. I will take him far from the river. The spirit cannot reach him. Moremi shook her head. We cannot escape a vow. Oluorogbo watched the adults crying and finally understood something terrible was awaiting him. His lips trembled, but he straightened his back. If my life can keep the kingdom safe, then I will not run. Moremi broke down completely. She grabbed him, held him so tightly he gasped. No. No, you are just a boy. My boy. Not fate's toy, not a spirit's price. But even through her sobs, she felt the truth crushing her. She had made the vow. A mother's vow. A queen's vow. A vow that bound her now with iron chains. The next morning, Moremi dressed Oluorogbo in the finest white cloth. The entire kingdom followed them in sorrowful silence to the Esinmirin river. Women wailed. Men clutched their chests. Children clung to their mothers. Moremi walked like a ghost, her face hollow, her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. She held her son's hand so tightly he winced, but he did not pull away. At the riverbank, the water rippled gently, as if waiting. Moremi turned to her son and knelt once more. You deserved a full life, my child. You deserved love and laughter and a future. Oluorogbo touched her cheek. I had all of that, with you. Those words nearly broke her. She held him tightly, breathing in his scent, memorizing every line of his face. Forgive me, Oluorogbo. Forgive me, my heart. I do, he whispered. When she finally released him, it was the hardest moment she had ever faced. She stepped back, trembling violently. The river rose. Oluorogbo stepped forward. The water embraced him gently. The spirit whispered, the balance is restored. And the boy was gone. A scream tore from Moremi's chest, raw, haunting, the cry of a heart being ripped apart. The people of Ife fell to their knees, wailing with her. Days passed, but the queen did not speak. Weeks passed, but she did not smile. The kingdom built shrines for Oluorogbo, honoring him as a divine child who gave his life so the people could be free. When Moremi finally stood before the people again, her voice was quiet but powerful. Let his sacrifice teach us courage. Let his memory remind us that freedom has a price. Let no story forget the child who saved Ife. And so, the people honored her. They celebrated her bravery, her wisdom, her sacrifice. Statues were built. Festivals created. Songs composed. But Moremi never forgot the echo of her son's final whisper. And every year, when the river swelled during the rainy season, she would stand on its banks and say softly, "My child, my hero, may the world never forget you." It never did.